I would love to just start laughing right now, but I'm not that kind of a show. You know, I don't do YouTube videos where I laugh and I play circus music or whatever, but I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to sit back and allow you all to laugh for as long as you need to laugh. Just let it go. Hollywood's identity crisis. Actors, writers, and producers warn of reverse racism in the film industry, which has created a toxic climate for anyone who is a white middle-aged man. Dare I say, anybody can laugh at this. Are you an intersectional leftist? Do you think middle-aged white men are not deserving of sympathy? Well, then by all means, feel free to laugh at these people. But wait, are you anti-SJW? Then by all means, feel free to laugh at the people who will now reap what they hath wrought. I don't know if that works. They'll reap what they sow. Hollywood is known for its woke BS, okay? They want to get woke. Okay, fine. But now these people in the industry are going, oh no, not me. You mean I can't get jobs anymore? I met a dude in Hollywood and he was speaking out against this. As soon as he spoke up and said this woke stuff is racist and crazy, he was out. They were like, sorry, bro, you're out. And he's like, whatever, I don't care. Check out this story. Okay, I'm not going to read too much at the beginning because they do this narrative stuff. I really hate narrative news. They're like, as the wooden boards are taken down from shop fronts and the studio lots grind slowly back to life. I don't care, dude. Tell me what happened. Let's scroll down. They say a revolution is underway. White actors are being fired. Edicts from studio bosses make it clear that only minorities can be given jobs. A new wave of what has been termed by some anti-white prejudice, is causing writers, directors, and producers to fear they will never work again. One described the current atmosphere as more toxic than Chernobyl, with leading actors afraid to speak out amid concerns they will be labeled racist. Good. Because you are all racist. Okay, not all of you, but let me tell you something. There's a famous quote I would like to recite. I'll do my best. Forgive me if I get it wrong. I have a dream that one day my 4 children will live in a country where they will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Probably just paraphrasing. That's Martin Luther King Jr., the famous I Have a Dream speech. Man, that means a lot to me. It really, really does. And I mean that with all sincerity. I would love it if we judged people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Now, in Hollywood, it's one of the few industries where they're actually allowed to discriminate because you need to in casting. So when it comes to entertainment and media, if you're doing a movie and the role is like an Asian male, you can literally say, we are hiring an Asian male. But in any other job, you can't do that. Well, this has apparently gotten to their heads, and now you're going to reap what you've sown. You worked in this industry. You supported these ideas. Well, too bad. Okay, too bad. This is what you get. Here's what they say. I don't see myself casting a white dude as the lead in my movie, Peele said. That's Jordan Peele. Not that I don't like white dudes, but I've seen that movie before. What movie? What does that mean? You've seen a movie with a white guy in it? That's a weird thing to say. As one studio executive responded privately, if a white director said that about hiring a black actor, their career would be over in a heartbeat. Few doubt it. Peele is more vocal than most about his hiring policy, but his outlook is increasingly widespread. Dozens of producers, writers, and actors have spoken to the Mail on Sunday about the wave of, quote, reverse racism pulsing through the industry. Please stop. There is no such thing as reverse racism in this context. Reverse racism literally would mean reversing racism. That's not what this is. This is just regular old racism. Okay? Yeah, please. What do they say? Speaking on the condition of anonymity, the executive confirmed that the climate is now toxic for any white middle-aged man in show business. Their careers are pretty much over. They continued, we're only hiring people of color, women, or LGBT to write, star, produce, operate the cameras, work in craft services. If you are white, you can't speak out because you'll be instantly branded racist or condemned for white privilege. Cry me a river, dude. Look, I get it. I'm no fan of racism. Quite the opposite. I think it's horrible what they're doing. But how long have y'all sat around either agreeing with it or saying nothing? If I just sit here and keep my mouth shut, they won't come for me, people say. You know what, man? I have been talking about people needing to speak up for some time. More recently, I've been a bit more aggressive about it. And I've gotten a lot of response from people who say that it's unfair. It's unfair that I would say this. I don't have kids. I don't have that responsibility. I can say what I say and no one's going to fire me. Listen, I worked for a woke company. They were going to pay me fat stacks, mad cash. And all I had to do was bend my knee. And I said, sever my contract. They said no. They paid me a hefty sum. It was a great salary. It was a lot of money. It was a massive contract. It was a Disney company. And I said, I refuse. And so I walked away. Eventually, the contract expired. I could have done everything right. I could have made way more money. I could have moved on to the bigger and bigger companies. But I said no. I won't do that. I started my own company. I took that risk. Now I get it. I don't have kids. But let me tell you something. If you've been sitting there saying, I can't speak up because I have a family, it's not that easy. I can respect that you want to protect your family. I really can. But let me just show you what this story means. For each of these people in Hollywood who said the exact same thing and now can't get work, they will not feed their kids. So feel free to sit back and wait as the fuse just goes off, because eventually they will come for you no matter what you do. And staying silent is not an option. Okay, you need to tell people, I do not accept this. It's racist, okay? We want to make sure we're being fair to minorities, to marginalized people. We want to make sure we are presenting a real opportunity and we're not going to discriminate. We need to make sure that we do not allow racists to discriminate against people on the basis of race. Everyone. And to be fair, if done right, you should start to see over time racial parity in the workplace. What does that mean? It means that your working environment at a certain level would look like how the country looks. You know, you've got 13% of the black community. You've got, I think it's like 7 or 8 Latino. Actually, I think Latino might be a lot bigger than that. Maybe like, 18 or 19. I think Asian is like 5 or so percent. And then you'd have a smaller percent of mixed race people, about 3%. That's just because if you're hiring people for their character, then eventually you'll find that the numbers even out. What we're seeing now is the inverse. They're just playing to a trend, and they're telling white people they're not going to hire them. It's just regular old racism, okay? We should not be doing this. But I got to be honest. To give my sympathies and partial agreement to Jordan Peele, I actually kind of agree to a certain extent that when it comes to casting, discrimination is it's kind of okay. Kind of. I say kind of because, like I mentioned before, they actually have an exemption in discrimination because you want to hire for a specific role. You want that person to fit a certain character build. Like my hero is going to be a white 40-something man. My hero is going to be a young Latina woman who's the main character. Then you're only going to cast them. To be fair, I do think we have... I do like the idea that when it comes to movies, we can make movies that speak to other communities and give representation to people who might not have seen it before. But the difference is the jobs outside of this. I really do think casting for lead roles, it makes sense to have diversity, 100%. I brought this up a long time ago when Captain Marvel came out, and I said, listen, if you make 3 major movies and those movies are all just white men, I would not personally think it's out of the question if you then said, we want to do a movie that has an Asian male lead or an Asian female lead. By all means, do it. The bigger problem I have is when skill jobs and character-driven work is based upon your race. That has nothing to do with anything. I really do think it's important to point out, however, in this video, a lot of people don't get this. A lot of people, I would say the anti-SJW and more right-leaning individuals, that there really is a profound effect on people when you grow up in a society where you are a severe minority. You know, you'll look at billboards and what do you'll see? You'll see Captain America, Chris Evans is a white guy. You'll see Thor, is that Hemsworth? Yeah, he's a white guy. You see Iron Man, it's a white guy. I don't really care. But if Jordan Peele articulated his idea better, I'd have no problem with it. If he said, the real issue for me is that the overwhelming majority of movies are very similar, and I want to give character representation to communities that aren't used to it, I'd say, totally, bro. I'm down with that. I'm a big fan of Into the Spider-Verse because Into the Spider-Verse was, in my opinion, like diversity done right. You had a character, main character happened to be Afro-Latino, didn't matter. The story was a good story. You see, that's the issue. For me, what it means getting woke going broke is when you shoehorn in a slap in the face level politics. If you make it so your whole industry is just saying no to white people, that is toxic. If you make it so that your industry is hiring people based on their ability to do the job, and the job is craft services, makeup, or whatever, that's what you want. If you want to do movies because you have front-facing individuals and you want to make sure you have diversity, that I actually like. I do. But if it's done right, like Spider-Man did the Spider-Verse, you know what I love about this? You had Miles Morales. I hope you've seen the movie because it's really great, and it's kind of old now-ish, so I'm spoiling it. Miles Morales, Afro-Latino. This movie exemplifies everything done right about diversity. He's just who he is. His race doesn't matter. You see his family. You see their culture, their community, how they live, and it represents them. But he's just a regular dude, and he meets Spider-Man. Actually, Spider-Man entrusts him with an important task. Spider-Man's white and blonde. But it wasn't an issue. It was literally just a young kid looking up to Spider-Man. And then he meets a new Spider-Man from a different dimension who's out of shape and middle-aged. And the race doesn't matter. We can do diversity right. And this is not it. This is toxic diversity. That's what I'll call this. Toxic diversity is when you condemn, attack, belittle someone on the basis of their race. It's racism. When you try to create this system and instead you just demonize or make people their race instead of making people who they are, that to me is toxic diversity. So I have a tolerance to a certain degree with what Jordan Peele is saying. I can sympathize for sure. Not when it comes to craft services though, man. If somebody wants to make me a sandwich so that, when I'm on set, I can have a sandwich, I don't care what your race is, dude. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care about your ethnicity. If you want to write a story, I don't care about any of that. I actually like, within reason, like legitimate, fair and balanced diversity. Making sure that what real diversity is supposed to be? Preventing the racists from being racist. Okay, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, yo, hey, are you really going to avoid hiring the person because of these reasons? That's not cool. Instead, they're just doing the same thing. So, you know what? For these people to now speak up, I'm sorry, man. I'm not gonna cry about it. Look at this. Nathan Lee Bush says anyone who dares speak up is canceled. Well, you know what? You better start speaking up now. You better do it now. It's going to affect everything. I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up for you in just a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.